The Liver King has made himself one of the most heavily criticized and ridiculed influencers on the entire internet, after allegations that he faked his supposedly natural physique, exploited his massive audience by selling overpriced organ supplements, and used dangerous threats for clout. My name's Ryan, and today we're looking at the deserved downfall of the Liver King and what he's doing now. At one point, the Liver King, also known as Brian Johnson, was a massive presence on the internet. In fact, he was practically inescapable, becoming famous for his intense, hyper-masculine, and downright bizarre videos in which he rebranded himself as a modern-day caveman.
Primals, this is what Liver King and QCP are having for breakfast today. That's right, bull balls right out of the fucking scrotum.
Cheers. Tastes like pasta.
To the internet, he was the ultimate primal leader, promoting a strict return to our ancestral living, and it was almost impossible not to recognize him in his signature look. Shirtless, sporting a massive, seemingly impossible physique, a thick beard, and screaming at the camera with a high-energy narration that made people stop scrolling and keep watching, as they also found it interesting saying, "This guy is something else, and this is some serial killer shit." This would make Jeffrey Dahmer blush. But besides working out, he preached an entire lifestyle based on what he called the 9 ancestral tenets, which he repeatedly promoted in his online posts, stating, "Liver King did not attain this physique purely from diet. To be specific, I attained it by following the 9 ancestral tenets: sleep, eat, move, shield, connect, cold, sun, fight, and bond." 99.9% of primals haven't even scratched the surface of these fundamentals, and you wonder why you're not making progress, why you're falling into a rut, why you're not expressing the strongest, happiest, and healthiest versions of yourselves. And so, his videos felt raw, full of energy, and bursting with a wild primal optimism, which led to fans loving him for it, and praising him with messages like, "I am isolated in the woods, I would love to incorporate this with what I hunt," and "I love liver, never tried it raw, you rock." This ultimately boosted his online reach, as his videos consistently received millions of views, thousands of comments, and likes across his social media accounts, proving how large his influence eventually became, just by only showing himself tearing into raw liver, raw testicles, and raw bone marrow, chewing them up and swallowing them down.
That's beautiful, isn't it? Because liver is king. Thank you.
However, despite repeatedly saying that he built his physique through ancestral living, he suddenly ended up promoting his own supplement brand to his fans, claiming that it was guaranteed to bring results. The pitch was simple: if you couldn't stomach the idea of eating raw bull testicles in your kitchen, you could just buy his dried organ meat pills instead, and it seemed to be working as people bought them. The product sold by thousands, generating over $50 million in revenue. But somewhere along the way, experienced nutritionist like Dr. Brian Young started questioning his physique, suggesting that he was built on performance-enhancing drugs and not supplements or natty living as he always claimed.
They sell beef organs like liver, kidneys, and heart that are dried and powdered, pack them into capsules, and sell them at a ridiculous markup. Additionally, trying to get these nutritional benefits from an organ meat supplement is completely impractical. To gain the full nutritional benefits from organ meat, you'd need to consume a decent amount, like 1 or 2 servings per day.
And soon, people also joined in, saying things like, "It is legit sad that people actually believe the Liver King is natty," and his ability to look people directly in the eye and lie is impressive. But instead of calmly handling the situation, Johnson responded aggressively, repeatedly, and passionately denying any steroid use whatsoever, saying, "The answer to that is no. I've always told the truth, I still tell the truth." On top of that, he went on major podcasts and high-profile interviews, insisting without a shadow of a doubt that his body was 100% natural.
Put your bare feet connected, anchored, grounded into the earth, right? I show what I'm eating for dinner every day.
But this didn't help, as the love and trust started to disappear, and people began to doubt him, saying, "The entire thing is based on a false premise anyway. It capitalizes on the pop culture conceptualization of the caveman. In reality, our nomadic ancestors had varied diets consisting of nuts, berries, etc. They had lean builds which emphasized endurance and didn't look like jacked, veiny bodybuilders bodybuilders. They didn't have a local Cub Foods to grab hundreds of pounds of raw meat on the regular either. The doubt started to grow into curiosity, and people began to dig deeper into his life, which was evident as in November 2022, the illusion of the modern-day caveman was shattered into a million pieces when Liver King was exposed badly. One of the highly respected fitness YouTubers named Derek, who runs the YouTube channel named More Plates More Dates, released a bombshell video exposing everything about his use of performance-enhancing drugs.
Leaked emails, blood test results, and a full steroid cycle breakdown. That's what we're going to be getting into in this video, and it is shocking to say the least. At the start of the video, I mentioned how there was some information that came across my desk that was shocking to say the least. This set of redacted emails shows what appears to be Liver King corresponding with a bodybuilding coach.
He even had hard, undeniable proof showing how Liver King had identified himself in one of the leaked private emails. In the emails, it showed him reaching out to a bodybuilding coach, explicitly asking for advice on a massive, complex steroid regimen. And it wasn't just a small amount of steroids either, as the emails revealed that the Liver King was spending roughly $11,000 every single month on performance-enhancing drugs. This included taking a massive cocktail of growth hormone IGF-1 to build and maintain his cartoonish physique. Besides that, in the email he said, "I've been working out for 35 years. I know how to eat, train, rest, and recover, but as I've reached my mid-40s, it's getting harder and the back fat effing kills me. To support these exhaustive efforts, I've recently started taking Omnitrope, the 5.8 milligram vials from Empower Pharmacy, 11,000 USD per month for my new dose, which is 4 vials per week or 16 vials per month." That discovery hit his community incredibly hard, and almost overnight, the entire internet turned on him, as fans who once praised him for his primal lifestyle expressed their frustration with comments like, "I hate how people like the Liver King claim to be the healthiest person on the planet, while doing extremely unhealthy things, and I think it's more frustrating and worrying that people were stupid and gullible enough to believe he was ever natural." The betrayal wasn't just about the steroids themselves, because in the fitness industry, steroid use is common, and many people wouldn't have cared if he had been honest about it in the first place. The real controversy that made people so incredibly angry was the fact that his entire multi-million-dollar business was built on the explicit lie that his expensive supplements and raw meat diet alone could produce his results. This thing didn't go well with the people, and so they were vocal about it, saying, "Worst part is Needle King could have easily been open about his steroid usage and still be able to preach his BS and keep his audience. Honest bodybuilders get crazy engagement and are very trusted, like Noel Dazel." And just like that, doubt had already settled in, but this was only the beginning, because the next phase of his career would completely shatter whatever remained of his life's work. After realizing things were going south, in June 2023, he posted a video titled "Liver King Confession, I Lied," in which he confessed to the deception. In the video, the high-energy, screaming caveman was gone, replaced by a quiet Johnson who sat quietly in front of the camera, looking completely defeated.
Because I lied, and I misled a lot of people. I've stated that this is a complicated as fuck topic, at least to me it is, because before social media, I was rich and anonymous, and after social media, I'm still rich, but no longer anonymous, and I never expected this kind of exposure in the public eye.
He even admitted that for years, he had been lying to his audience, claiming his physique was purely the result of his ancestral tenets, like eating raw organs, when in reality, it was built in a pharmacy.
And so yes, it's true. I have tried several peptide combinations in an effort to increase my growth hormone, and it didn't work, meaning that my levels still remained below the normal level. So yes, it's also true that I've tried pharmaceutical grade growth hormone, and I finally found success in managing therapeutic levels in the normal range.
This made the situation even worse, and the public reaction intensified as people began saying, "The way he can lie right into people's faces and not even flinch shows what a sociopathy is." And the consequences weren't just in the YouTube comment sections alone. They were about to become incredibly real and incredibly expensive, because shortly after the confession video video went live, the legal system came knocking as a massive class action lawsuit was filed in New York by a consumer named Christopher Altomare for $25 million. The suit alleged that Brian Johnson had actively defrauded consumers across the country, accusing him of deception and misrepresenting regarding the realistic outcomes of consuming raw meat and following the ancestral tenets. This even made the people happy, as they said he deserves to be sued. But then things suddenly went quiet, as by March 2023, the massive $25 million lawsuit was voluntarily dismissed with prejudice. This shocked everyone, and legal experts examined the case closely, suggesting that this type of dismissal almost certainly indicated a massive, highly confidential out-of-court settlement. And as it seems, Johnson's legal and PR team likely sought to settle the matter as quickly and as quietly as possible. And just like that, in mid-2023, Johnson attempted a massive pivot, as he launched what desperately hoped would be his grand redemption arc, calling it Liver King 2.0. The pitch this time was that he was going to document his journey to becoming truly natural, and this time he promised it with full transparency, where he promised to get off gear in hopes of persuading his audience about the effectiveness of his ancestral lifestyle. And so he began posting his actual blood work online, along with videos of himself working out, and viewers immediately noticed that he was looking drastically different.
It's been 59 days, Natty. One more day to celebrate 60. Look at it from December to now and tell me that you can't tell the difference. Massive difference.
But this time, he actually looked noticeably smaller, and his muscles were flat. As people said, his arms are deflating. Look better now, honestly, man. For a brief moment, it seemed like he was actually going to commit doing the right things the right way. But things took a turn when Moist Critical took that matter into his own account and called him out while telling he is still spreading lies about being natural.
No matter how closely you follow his ancestral tenets and no matter how many of his products you buy, you will not have a body that looks like his unless you also get on all of the gear he's using and the same amounts of it. That is the only way.
And soon, it turned out to be another illusion, as he again admitted to his audience that he was resuming what he called pharmacological interventions, saying, "I decided to put it on again." He confessed that he was going back on testosterone replacement therapy, also known as TRT, and other substances.
I don't like the idea of losing over 20 pounds of muscle. I don't like the idea that became the reality of losing a lot of strength. My 1 rep max strict press was like 255, and I couldn't even hit 205 in July. So I've decided to go back on it. I'm taking testosterone. It's a cream. I do 3 clicks of it a day. I'm also doing a growth hormone. It's 2 clicks a day.
But this time, the internet didn't care about his excuses anymore, saying, "He reminds me of those plastic-covered foam dodgeballs we used to play with in gym class, specifically when you would squeeze the ever-loving hell out of them to make them all wrinkly. And what a terrible pitch. Bro, you ain't convincing no one." All of this severely damaged his reputation to the point where it seemed there was almost no way to come back. By mid-2024, the Liver King persona had completely shifted. He was no longer a leader in the fitness space, as he had become a massive cautionary tale. Instead of being featured in fitness magazines for his workouts, he was now being studied in academic and social discussions on deceptive marketing and consumer fraud. Even high-profile fitness influencers and major podcasters who had once hosted him, given him a massive platform, and treated him like a friend completely turned their backs on him.
Your highest and most dominant form.
Yeah.
What? He wanted everybody that's depressed and trying to kill themselves to reach their highest, most dominant form. But he wanted to lie about how he achieved his physique, so mislead these people that just by eating liver.
And things escalated further when, in early 2025, Netflix released a massive, highly anticipated documentary titled Untold: The Liver King. The documentary was brutal, as it completely stripped away the primal myth and detailed exactly how this persona was meticulously manufactured. It proved to the world that Liver King wasn't a genuine health advocate who stumbled into fame. Instead, he was a carefully created character designed from day one to extract money from vulnerable people on the internet through deception.
I couldn't take any of those drugs, and then I started to live a fucking life that I didn't even know was possible. I'm back in my 20s, not on anything.
But at this stage, people weren't seeing a primal leader anymore. They were seeing a man who had become really annoying. As they said, usually I like the Untold series, but this one was so bad. I had to force myself to finish it. I'm not a person who goes to the gym regularly, but even I could tell he was onto something. How he made so much money, I'll never know. The whole thing sounds crazy, and it was disgusting. They continued living their lives with all the money they made by deceiving people, no accountability for anything. Every sick sicko can make a fortune nowadays using and abusing media and naive, unhappy people. Where is the law? And just like that, the law somehow got involved as the situation turned from a simple professional collapse into a massive legal crisis. In June 2025, in the heart of Austin, Texas, headlines hit the internet that Brian Johnson was officially arrested by the Austin Police Department after threatening Joe Rogan through an Instagram post saying, "We're coming for you." He was charged with making a terroristic threat, a serious Class B misdemeanor. The incident leading up to the arrest was incredibly disturbing because for weeks, Johnson had been showing increasingly erratic behavior across all of his social media platforms, posting bizarre videos in which he was literally holding gold-plated firearms.
Joe Rogan, I'm calling you out. My name's Liver King. Man to man. I'm picking a fight with you.
And in these videos, he began making highly specific, aggressive threats directly targeted at Joe Rogan, the massive podcaster who had been recently mocking him online. It was around this time that he picked up a fight with Joe through a post saying, "Joe Rogan, I'm calling you out. My name is Liver King. Man to man, I'm picking a fight with you. I have no training in jiu-jitsu. You're a black belt. You should dismantle me. But I'm picking a fight with you. Your rules, I'll come to you whenever you're ready." The aftermath of his arrest painted a picture of a man who had completely lost his grip on reality. Even though he was eventually released, it was only after posting a $20,000 bond. This was a humiliating situation, as the man who once ran free in the wilderness eating raw liver was now forced to wear a police-issued ankle monitor, and now he'll face a restraining order and will have to undergo a mental health evaluation within a week. Travis County court records viewed by Rolling Stone confirmed his release on June 25. The court also issued a restraining order, ordering that he stay at least 200 yards from Rogan and his family, along with a mental evaluation. And just like that, the primal alpha male was now a genuine legal threat, bound by the state and forced into psychiatric care. So how is he doing today? Fast forward to May 2026, and the empire he built is a ghost town as he completely disappeared from his YouTube, and his face that was once the golden ticket for sales is now seen as a toxic liar stigma that harms the business. While he technically maintains a presence online, his influence as a legitimate health authority has completely and effectively vanished, which got replaced by skepticism, anger, and a brutal public ridicule. The last time his YouTube audience truly heard from him was in his final long-form video titled 4 Swords, which was uploaded on June 11th, 2025. The video performed poorly compared to his peak numbers, barely scraping together 60,000 views, as people started calling him out saying, "Dude is in a drug spiral," while others ended up mocking him saying, "I hope you come back so we could have more comedy gold." Since that day in June 2025, the channel has been completely dead. He still posts on Instagram, but it's nowhere near the multi-millions of views he once received. If you enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy these next ones as well, and don't forget to subscribe.